I'd like to thank Paramount Plus for making this possible.
Absolutely.
5 schools ACC got in the NCAA tournament last season. Trivia time. Can you name all 5?
All right. Duke, Carolina, Miami, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech.
It was very good. That's exactly what it was. But only 5. Right now, Jerry Palm has 7 ACC teams projected to make the 2023 NCAA tournament. It is those same 5: North Carolina, Duke, Miami, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, plus 2 more.
I'm going to go based off of my standings. So I will say he has Virginia.
That's right.
And then I'm going to say, according to my projection, I'll say he has Florida State.
That's right. It's North Carolina as a 1 seed, Duke as a 3, Virginia as a 7, Miami as an 8, Virginia Tech as an 8, Florida State as an 11, Notre Dame as an 11. So the conference moving back in the right direction. But do you realize the ACC finished at KenPom 5th in conferences last season for the 2nd straight year? Didn't finish lower than 4th in any of the previous 7 seasons. And now it's been 5th in 2 straight seasons, with Duke, Louisville, Notre Dame, Miami all missing the NCAA tournament in 2021. And then Virginia, Florida State, Syracuse, Louisville all missing the NCAA tournament in 2022. Like Louisville, Virginia, Syracuse have all won national titles in the past 20 years. Them not being good recently has been a real drag on the league. It's not as simple as that, but if somebody were to stop you on the street and ask you, so why has the ACC been down? Because Louisville's been down, because Syracuse has been down, because Virginia has at least been down relative to what Virginia was each of the past 2 seasons.
5th is a problem. I don't know if it'll be, at least for the ACC, which is obviously a traditional basketball first conference there. Would be shocked if this was a top 2 conference in the country. That hasn't happened since 17-18 per KenPom. I think it could be anywhere from 3 to 5. I don't think it'll be as low as 6, but I will go, if I set the over-under at 6.5 NCAA tournament bids, I'm going to go under in 23 for the ACC. Would you go under or over 6.5? Would you side with Palm or fade that a little bit?
I would side with Palm. It's Jerry Palm, for crying out loud. How would I go against him?
Give me, do you have your 1 through 7 in order? Standings, projections, what you think?
It would be North Carolina, Duke, Virginia.
Yep.
I don't go any further than that. The top 25 and 1. I could see what I sent in.
Yes. Why don't you pull up what you sent in, and I'll give you my 1 through 7 while he looks it up. I go UNC, Duke, Virginia, draw a line. I go Notre Dame 4. I'll go Miami 5, Florida State 6, Virginia Tech 7. I think those are all viable contenders, and then I'll get to the back half in a little bit here. But Virginia has to be a clear 3. Reese Beekman, Jaden Gardner, Kihei Clark, Caden Shedrick, Armand Franklin all back. They get Ben Vanderplas in from Ohio. That's a 1 through 6 that I believe will have Virginia wearing home whites until at least the Sweet 16, provided UVA can win a couple of games in the NCAAs. Virginia lost no one of note. So if Beekman can jump to an all ACC first team level kind of guy, Kihei Clark kind of is what he is at this stage of his career, and that is a good thing. Specifically, like for Virginia, he fits his role in Bennett's system and will be vital this season. I'm not even convinced I'd have Virginia 3rd in this tier if Kihei Clark wasn't on the roster. I think he's that important to the actual overall team there. Shedrick should be a bit of more of a breakout on the defensive end. Jaden Gardner was a stat monster at ECU. Maybe he grows a little bit more. So to me, it's like Duke and Carolina and Virginia all in the same group. If you wanted to separate Carolina from Duke and Virginia, I'd actually buy that there. So UNC, Duke, UVA, Notre Dame, Miami, Florida State, Virginia Tech's my 1 through 7. What would you go 1 through 7, GP?
We got the same 7, just slightly different order. North Carolina, Duke, Virginia 3, Miami 4, Notre Dame 5, Florida State 6, Virginia Tech 7.
Okay, so we've got Notre Dame and Miami flipped. Why you go Miami 4 instead of Notre Dame there?
Life Wallet.
Okay. Aside from the obvious with Life Wallet, they lost Cam Auguste. They lost Charlie Moore, Sam Wardenberg. Those guys combined for well over 30 points. So they depart, which made me pause just a little bit there.
But you bring back Isaiah Wong and you add Nigel Pack. That's pretty good. Now, they're not very big, That could be a problem in a league with Armando Bacot and Derek Lively. But, I like the guards, and Larinaga is great. They lose Chris Caputo, too.
They do. New head coach at George Washington. Yes.
And I don't think that type of thing impacts this team, but you do wonder because Caputo is, a hustler, like, a recruiter. Does that have an impact on Miami's program going forward?
I think there's a chance. I mean, this is like we're way inside the sport here, but Caputo is a long time assistant for Larinaga, was part of the George Mason Final Four team and all that good stuff. And he had a significant impact on the success of that program right there alongside Larinaga. So that's something to keep in mind there. Isaiah Wong is back, by the way, just a reminder.
After threatening to go into the transfer portal.
And it really is an indication of like how long the college basketball offseason was. GP, that was like the second or third week of the offseason. He tried to publicly leverage his NIL situation. How successfully that actually was, I guess, is up for debate. But, Nigel Pack actually is the one who induced Wong's ploy. And then John Ruiz, Miami's Rich Booster behind all this stuff, said he signed the NIL deal. I don't renegotiate. And then apparently I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was why. Yeah. Can you imagine 30 years ago? It'd be like, yeah, so this Miami booster went out and bought a Kansas State player, and then Miami's leading returning scorer was like, hold up, that guy got more money than me. I'm going to go public. If I don't get at least that much money, I will enter the transfer portal. We'd be like, what sport are you talking about again?
I'm by the way,
I love it.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Give me stuff to talk about. Give me interesting things and wrinkles and players making noise there. Another name to know is Norchad Omier, who was an Arkansas State transfer, like top 2 player in the Sun Belt. He is a key name to know and will be expected to be one of those up transfers that really can make an immediate impact. I think Miami's going to make the tournament. They're coming off that stunning Elite 8 run. The team doesn't appear to be deep, which is why I put them at 5 and I put Notre Dame at 4. And I also think this is kind of state of the ACC. Like I look at a team like Miami and I'm like, this is my number 5 team. It's your number 4 team. I get skeptical the league will be any deeper than 6. Real quick on Notre Dame, since we've got them 4-5. I get the sense Mike Bray knows he's got his best team in at least a half decade. I think it's definitely a deeper team than Miami, even slightly. Maybe Bray winds up tightening up the roster, as so many coaches do by the start of February. But I like this starting 5: Nate Laszewski, Dane Goodwin, Cormac Ryan, Marcus Hammond, JJ Starling. JJ Starling is another good freshman coming in.
Yeah, 5-star player.
5-star player. They just lost Blake Wesley, a top 25 pick, and it's Bray has managed to live up to his mantra, which is get old, stay old. He's done that again while losing a first-round NBA pick that was a one-and-doner, and now having another 5-star guy coming in. I mentioned Hammond. He was an 18-point-a-game guy at Niagara, so we'll see. But Laszewski's a vet who's gotten better. Goodwin is a veteran wing. I think he's one of 6 super seniors on the roster there. So I will lean. I feel like there's slightly more reliability with Notre Dame, but having said that, I still think there's a gap between Virginia at 3, and we got Notre Dame and Miami 4-5, however you want to shake it out, before we get to the bubble teams there.
Yeah, Notre Dame went 15-5 in the ACC last season, and they bring back 3 of the top 5 scores and add a 5-star guard to that. Like that's pretty good. And so, I think Mike's going to go to back-to-back NCAA tournaments here. The interesting one is Florida State for me. And we're going to pop right back up to Duke, North Carolina in just a second, I promise. But Florida State, you look at the roster and you go, okay, bring back Cameron Mills. Matthew Cleveland was a 5-star in 2021, back. Jalen Warley was a top 50 guy. He's back. Some real talent, but they were terrible last season. They were 20th in the preseason AP poll. They finished 105th at KenPom, went 17-14. Now, some of this was injury related. Like they played 31 games and Cameron Mills only played 26. Cleveland only played 29. Malik Osborne only played 17. 3 of the top 4 scorers missed at least 5 games last season. So perhaps that's the best explanation. They were just never healthy. But if you've got Florida State in the top 25 preseason, and some people do, and I thought about it, you are asking a bunch of guys who lost a lot last season to now win a lot. And I'm not saying they can't do it, I mean, I've got Florida State projected as NCAA tournament team, but that's not a normal thing in college basketball. I guess you're still believing in the talent and just trusting Leonard Hamilton, Stan Jones, the talent, and if it's healthy, they'll be good. I guess that's where you're at. But you're asking a bunch of guys that lost a bunch to win a lot. And again, that's not a normal thing in college basketball.
Cleveland could be an NBA player. They've got this 6'11" Spanish freshman, Baba Miller, who will compete with 7'4" Naheem McLeod for minutes in the middle. They've got a guy named Jalen Gainey who transferred from Brown. Could be a classic 10-point a game Florida State Seminole, like so many.
Everybody averages somewhere between 8 and 11 points at Florida
State. I'm leaning with Hamilton there. And then real quick on Virginia Tech before we scoot up to the favorites there. Storm Murphy, Keve Luma, Naheem Alima are all gone. Justin Mutz is back. That's big. Hunter Couture is back. Sean Padula are back. And then they've got Grant Basile, who was a do-it-all stretch big from Wright State. Again, we've got a lot of these transfers at the power conference level this season that put up big numbers at a mid-major, and some of them will hit and some of them won't. I don't know if Basile will or will not, but he does add another dimension. I actually do like what he does for Mike Young's system. Virginia Tech for me is in the 4 to 8 range in the ACC. I'd be surprised if they were 3rd or better, and I'd be really surprised if they were 9th or worst. To me, they're sitting right there, flirting with getting in the tournament or maybe being a 1, 2, 3 seed in the NIT. And I also wonder, the state of the program there. Will it be a flash in the pan last season? They got real hot at the end. They played well. They ended Carolina's run in the ACC tournament. I was right there to watch Mike Young pull it off, and they had a great run. But can it find some sustainability in the upper half of this league this season, next season, season after? Because Mike Young runs some different stuff from a lot of other coaches in the league. So we do have the same 7, just in a slightly different order.